Hello, my name is Philip Ponchet, and this is my instructional video on scaffolding as a strategy in teaching. Have you ever been faced with a learning assignment that seemed beyond your grasp? I think we've all experienced those situations. And, scaffolding in teaching is breaking up the learning into steps to provide tools or structure with each step along the way. So it can help with those situations where we are faced with a pretty daunting task. Scaffolding theory was first introduced in the late 1950s by Jerome Bruner, a cognitive psychologist. The best use of scaffolding is when it allows the student to figure out the problem on their own by providing temporary supports. Think about how scaffolding is used in the support of safe and effective building construction. Instructional scaffolding is gradually added and then modified, and finally it's removed according to the needs of the learner. So eventually the learner will no longer need the scaffolding and will be able to do the work on their own. Vygotsky's concept of the zone of proximal development is the field of learning between what the learner can do on their own and what they can do with the help or support of a knowledgeable instructor. The students in this process are guided and monitored by the instructor through the learning activities to get them to the next stage of their learning. According to Jamie McKenzie, there are 8 characteristics of scaffolding in learning. Number 1 is clear direction. Offer step-by-step directions to explain what students must do in order to meet the expectations for the learning activity. Number 2, clarify purpose. Built around essential questions, the scaffolding helps keep the big picture of the lesson. Number 3, scaffolding keeps students on task. Each time a student is asked to move along their learning path, the steps are outlined clearly. Number 4, scaffolding offers assessment to clarify expectations. From the very start, scaffolded lessons provide examples of quality work done by others and also the rubrics used as standards. Number 5, scaffolding points students to worthy sources. In some cases, students must stick to sources pre-selected by their teachers, but in other cases, the student may use these sites as a starting point, extending further in their own research. Number 6, scaffolding reduces uncertainty, surprise, and disappointment. Lessons are designed and tested each and every step in the lesson to see what might go wrong. The idea is to eliminate any distracting frustrations for the student to the extent that it's possible. Number 7, scaffolding delivers efficiency. Scaffolded lessons still require hard work, but the work is so well centered on inquiry that there's little waste. Scaffolding distills the work effort. Number 8, scaffolding creates momentum. Use of essential questions creates a drive toward meaning that is accelerated. Scaffolding used in mathematics, for example, the instructor introducing a new concept might provide examples of how he arrived at the correct answer to the problem. Secondly, there could be partial answers given, and the remaining part of the problem could be done by the student. And then finally, the student is given the entire problem to work out on their own. In the education setting, so scaffolding may include models, cues, prompts, hints, partial solutions, think aloud modeling, and direct instruction. Modeling could include showing an example of a desired outcome and the standard used, so the student knows what the expectations are. When the instructor models the process they use to arrive at the desired outcome by talking out loud through the steps, the student has a much better idea of what they are to follow. The knowledgeable instructor also assesses the lesson to anticipate difficulties that might arise, and they refine the lesson so the student spends more time learning and eliminates some difficulties for them. The instructor breaks the lessons into chunks and provides tools for each smaller step. This will increase the students' success and their confidence in what they're doing. And finally, learning can be enhanced through peer teaching and also reviewing each other's work and providing feedback to their peers. Scaffolding is useful anytime the instruction provided by the instructor is really just beyond the reach of the student, the current grasp of that student. And at that point, they require more support to reach the next level of the learning. This technique works especially well in technology-based learning, such as online courses. There are really no drawbacks to using scaffolding in teaching if it's used properly. The only time that it would be detrimental to the student is that it's somehow implemented in such a way that the student is never weaned off the support. In that case, the learner does not master the skill and being able to complete it on their own, and they become dependent in the supports that were put in place. The use of scaffolding is particularly effective in its ability to build students' confidence, so that he or she is better able to address future challenges. So that means that providing students with an opportunity to make meaningful connections, they're able to incorporate new knowledge into their mindset. So it's a way of really helping the student to feel successful as they're learning, um, taking on new knowledge and new concepts to them. And it also creates a student who is more liable to be confident in new tasks and a more willing learner in the end. With all the diverse learners in our classrooms, there is a strong need for teachers to learn and experiment with new scaffolding techniques. Scaffolding a lesson may take longer to teach, but the end product is going to be of far greater quality, and the experience will be more rewarding for everyone involved because there'll be a greater depth of learning in the subject. Um, a skill for the teacher would be knowing when and how to intervene when what scaffolding is presented. The teacher takes an active role in guiding the student and in the student's learning and as they come to terms with new ideas and concepts. One ethical area for teachers would be maybe to be cautious of making any assumptions with their students when they have a new class, making assumptions on their learning skills or their organizational abilities or maybe their commitment to the course. Getting to know students, taking time to know their history and where they're coming from, maybe asking probing questions, could help the instructor determine the skill set that the student brings to the classroom. And then they could better tailor the instruction through the use of scaffolding. I hope you've enjoyed this instructional video and find a way that you could use scaffolding for your own classroom instruction, because I think it's very effective. It's something that really helps students to grasp new ideas and complicated ones as well. So I wish you well in your teaching. Thank you.